Well, personally, I really like this game. I
Yep.
think it's one of
Same.
the most fun games I've ever played. So I just want to, and when I find games I really like to play, I also want to learn as much as I can about them.
Yeah.
So that's initially what started me interested in like thinking about coaching. And then I
Yeah.
just figured, well, I have a character that I really like to play. I have a game that I really like to play. So I just want to take my, knowledge and skills to another level, next level.
Yeah. Makes sense. Okay. How long you been playing?
Um, I played off and on. Let's see. I think I tried the game, Overwatch 1 when it
Yep.
came out.
Yep.
But at the time, my PC wasn't good enough to play it.
Yeah.
So I kind of just forgot about the game. And then when Overwatch 2 came along, I tried that as well.
Hmm.
And I wasn't very good at it. So I was like, oh, okay, this game might be kind of stinky.
Yeah.
Fast forward a couple more seasons. I was playing Sojourn. I was like, okay, Sojourn's pretty cool. But I could not for the life of me figure out why I was like losing games and whatnot. That
Hmm.
is until I found your coaching videos essentially
Nice. Nice.
this past October. And that's when I was like, oh, okay, this game has a lot more depth than I realized, and I started taking it a little more seriously, and that like opened my eyes. And so basically I'd say I'd started playing this game seriously since October.
Right. And where was your rank at the time, and where has it progressed since then?
So I started in silver,
Yep.
and now I hit plat on support and DPS.
Incredible. Nice job. Nice job. I'm seeing you
Thank
playing Juno on support.
Yes.
Was that kind of like a recent development upon pivoting back into the game in October, or were you kind of already open to the idea of playing support even before Juno was released?
Um, I was open to play support. I liked Ana,
Yep.
but I just wasn't finding success with Ana.
Yep.
So I was okay. Let's give Juno a try.
Yeah. Sure.
So I tried
Sure.
Juno, and I found her playstyle very fun.
Yep.
Um,
Same.
I love the mobility.
Same.
So
Same.
yeah.
Yeah. Love it.
So
Love it.
that's
Okay. Cool.
yeah.
What are we going to be looking at today in terms of heroes? Sojourn, Juno, both? Something different?
I just Juno. Yeah.
Just Juno. Okay. And now you hit
Yeah.
plat, so congratulations. I mean, that's a monstrous
Thank you.
improvement. You're now objectively an above average player. So you're pretty good at the game. Well done. Now, obviously, a lot of things have changed for you. One, you found my coaching. You got some insight about how the mechanics of the game work for any character
Right.
that you're playing, right? Which is great. Like, I'm glad I was able to help a little bit with that. But also, crucially, you were motivated, maybe partly through my coaching or maybe just enjoying Juno, to just I'm sure put more hours in, right? So things also probably clicked just through your ability to apply yourself. So
Hmm.
what sort of skills have you felt like you have improved at from, I don't know where you started with support, but like let's just say silver to platinum? What is improved? What details?
Hmm. I think definitely angles. I That wasn't like a concept that
Yeah.
had even like entered my brain when I first started playing.
Yeah.
Um, I felt like the game was just before I knew all of this. I just felt the game was like, okay, I'm gonna sit behind my tank and just shoot stuff, like
Yeah. Yeah.
shoot the
Yeah.
biggest target in front of me.
Yeah.
Um, but that's something that I'm like actively thinking about now as well.
Sure.
Well, actively thinking about,
Sure.
and just like cooldown usage, just the concept of playing around your cycles and whatnot, and also cover. I think
Yep.
that's probably one of the hardest things that I've um, learned,
Yeah.
and still I think that's the one of the hardest things I struggle with now is just
Yeah.
thinking about where is a good place to
Yeah.
um, stand that has cover, and I can see my teammates. I can help my teammates and maybe cover an angle, stuff like that. It's
Sure. Well, it's tricky too because you think about like what makes Juno unique is that mobility, but then
mm,
being able to find cover while you move and rotate mid fight is a little bit like trying to juggle while riding a unicycle, right? Like it's
yeah.
hard enough just by itself, but then you have a character that moves around a lot and it becomes even trickier. But okay, so we'll look at that. At the time of the forum, we talked about how can I squeeze more value from a character to make a difference in games. I'm hoping to be shown some mistakes and learn how to fix them. Do you feel similarly at the moment?
Um, I think at the time that I was writing the form, I think I was pretty salty after a loss. I'm
I
not
can
gonna
smell
lie.
it. Yeah, I could smell it.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, but I just want to learn necessarily, or I want to fix my mistakes. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, yeah.
It's hard for me to, I guess, like, uh, point out like, okay, this is a very obvious mistakes that a lot of players my skill level are making,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to be able to fix that. I think
Yeah,
that's valuable.
yeah, makes sense. I will caution you from me just be being nitpicky, but don't frame it
Sure.
necessarily mentally like fixing your mistakes, because
Okay.
obviously those mistakes will always be there. But as in strengthening yourself as a player, improving, obviously cutting
Sure.
down on mistakes, but also increasing the number of good things that you're doing too, right? Like, because
Sure.
inaction can be a mistake too, right? Like, not using cover is a mistake, but also not rotating and looking for a torpedo at an angle is a mistake too. So,
Hmm.
it would basically be like, let's avoid errors and let's also do some good things as well. And don't necessarily aim for perfection. Aim for, obviously, not to be corny here, but one step further from where you're at right now. And finding out
Sure.
maybe where those weak points are is going to be crucial. But I think also, what are some things that you're doing well, and how can we focus on making sure that we keep doing those moving forward is going to be important too.
Hmm.
If you were to classify some of your strengths compared to, like, let's say, other platinum supports, what would they be?
Mm, that's a good question.
It's tricky, isn't
I'm
it? Hey,
I'm not
here's what
sure.
it is.
Maybe.
That's a skill in itself, right? It's probably not something you put a lot of thought into. You're gonna say something though.
Maybe my how aggressive I play. I think
Sure,
that's not something
sure,
that I see very often.
sure. You're at least thinking outside the box, right? That's probably something worth highlighting. Okay, okay. Well, we'll take a look. I'm aware that I don't know the game that well, but I don't know the thought process behind what higher levels players do and the decisions they make. I feel like I am just doing things like taking angles and shooting without a clear purpose. Do you still feel similarly?
I Yes, I do think that I like that is my game plan, right? I take an angle and I shoot things.
Mm, mm,
I'm
mm.
not necessarily thinking too much about the or I guess I don't really know the like what strategy goes into that
Yeah,
other
yeah,
than
okay. Like which angle and why and
sure,
what angle is it
exactly.
bad? Yeah, of course. We'll talk more about that then. Goals, you said short term, I'd like to be able to reach platinum. Ha ha ha. But I'd really like to just learn a lot about the game. Yeah, makes total
Yeah.
sense here. Now, last thing which we've talked about, and if you've seen any of my coaching, you know it's coming, right?
Mhm.
Training schedules, training structure, the way that you're approaching rank. Now, at the time, pretty extensive. 3 to 4 hours a day, 5 to 7 days per week. Has that changed?
Yes, it has changed. Over the holidays, I haven't had a lot of time to play,
Of
and just
course.
this past month, January has been really hectic for me, so I haven't had a lot of time to play.
Yep, of
Um,
course.
but at the time that I wrote that, then that's what the schedule was.
What do you anticipate it to be on average moving forward?
On average, it'll probably be 2 to 3 hours a week.
Okay,
Oh,
five to
sorry,
six days per
two
week.
to three hours a day,
Yeah, I
five
figured.
days a week. Yeah,
Okay, that's totally fine. And if we were to set like a ballpark goal, assuming Juno doesn't receive any major buffs, assuming Juno doesn't receive any major nerfs, I think that mid diamond, high diamond is even possible with that amount of playtime. Maybe with time you could go higher, but I think that like you could definitely get higher rank than where you're at with that amount of playtime, assuming all other factors are irrelevant. Now, in terms of how you approach playing, you probably also heard me talked about a little bit of a warm up, taking effective breaks, getting enough sleep, going in with the right mentality, going in with goals. Are you familiar with these things? Are you prepared to implement those things if you haven't already? Like, where are you at right now with that?
sure. Yeah, so I do the when I started out, I saw from one of your other coaching videos that you suggested doing the back training for like 2 minutes.
Sure.
Um, so I did that before a session, and then also did the while you wait deathmatch
Yep.
between games.
Sure.
And I think that was very helpful in terms of like getting active, you know?
Yeah. 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 It's a bit odd with Juno, but hey, every little bit counts, right? So,
Sure, exactly. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Um, Hmm.
And then the other thing as well would be a discussion about like, I guess as the day goes on, does that schedule change? Because you talked about while you wait deathmatch, that's great, but after round 1, 2, 3, 4, do you find yourself taking breaks? Do you feel yourself needing to take breaks, and so on?
Um, I don't think I find myself necessarily needing to take breaks, but I do take
Okay.
breaks every maybe like 3 games,
Okay.
um,
Okay.
just to force myself to stretch,
Sure.
stand up, walk
I hope
around.
you could feel like the brow beating that's happening through this voice channel right now. You could do better. Give it a shot. Like if nothing else, I just encourage people to try. Just
Okay.
try being more aggressive with your break taking. As ironic as that is, and just see if it helps the quality of games. I know a lot of people are like, well, I'm not like much of a tilter. It's fine, but it's not about tilt. It's about like the quality of practice that you're putting in. I know people that tilt.
Mhm.
I know people that get sad. I know people that get distracted. I know people that get frustrated. I know people that just get lazy, right?
Mhm.
The later they go without taking breaks, they don't quite have that same level of intensity and the level of focus. And all of those are just fatigue. They're different manifestations of fatigue. And so I would just try it. Try it for a couple days. Try it. See if getting up from your PC for 60 seconds instead of doing the while you wait, right?
Mhm.
And see how that affects things. Because I think min-maxing your mechanical practice is probably fine for the first couple of games, but after that, min-max your rest.
Yeah,
See how it goes.
sounds
If it doesn't really affect you all that much, okay, go next, right? But I certainly would give it a shot. That would be my recommendation.
okay.
Other
Sounds
than
good.
that, your form looks okay. I don't have any other questions. Do you have anything else for me?
No, I'm
All right.
I'm good.
Shoot me whatever code you want to look at, and we'll take a look here.
Sure.
Got it. Now, why this code?
This code, so Nepal, I
Mm-hmm.
think the first point of this, it's very open, and I think
Mm-hmm.
I have a hard time playing on maps that are open like this,
Okay.
where they can come from a lot of places.
Nice.
Um,
I saw the bucket.
oh,
I've only done that like half a dozen times. I'm not gonna lie with you. I know there's an angle you can get it 100% of the time, but I'm just too stupid to look it up. So, okay, yeah, more open, harder to find angles makes total sense.
yes,
Um,
and also coupled with the fact that I'm playing with ball,
mm,
uh, I think this is definitely like a weird one for me, where I'm not
yeah. Yeah.
necessarily too sure um, how to play with ball most of the time. So
Sure. So let's talk about tempo. You brought it up earlier with playing around your cooldown. So I forget what the exact term that you said, but you said something that implied like, I have my cooldowns. I kind of take
like
action.
rotation.
Yeah, exactly. But when we talk about tempo, it's just like a nice tidy word of like the timing of things and when do you go in, right? Like just like music or
Mhm.
whatever else. And so when you talk about when do you go for those speed rings or those torpedoes or for the deepening of the angle to get something silly or just to heal more, right? With any tank, it's generally off at the timing of that tank. Even if that's just they're standing there and taking damage on their shield, that's a good time for me to go. They're serving as a distraction. Ball, same thing. The difference with ball is that it's a big distraction, and then it's a very little distraction, and then it's a big
Mm.
distraction. And so for you, you don't need to understand the nuances and the details, nor do I think it's like what's going to keep you from hitting diamond is knowing how to play with ball. But to answer your question, if you're paying attention to your tank's tempo, when you're looking to take an angle or deepen an angle, with ball, it becomes a little more important. Same thing with
Okay.
Winston, Doomfist, anything that provides a very active and lethal threat and then kind of, fricks off for a little bit. Like that's kind of something that you can kind of pay attention to with how you're positioning yourself. So just a good habit to always pay attention to your tank's tempo. Thankfully for you, you don't have to full commit with your tank. So you shouldn't be caught in a bad spot once he rolls out, right? But it will benefit you to pay attention to what he's doing, when he's doing it. And then obviously thinking about where you could be as a result.
Mhm.
It also means that main's an angle a lot of the time because
Mm.
usually he's going to come in from the side. So if you do that, you have a lot more flexibility with where you want to play. So you're probably used to being the one flanking, but maybe just sitting on main is totally fine.
Mhm.
And that's about all I got. Any other reason? Just bad map, interesting ball composition. Anything else?
No.
All
I think that's yeah.
Let's roll. As impressed as I am by this, you really should speed ring out.
Sorry.
But listen, you're the one fun maxing. Also making sure that you're speed ringing correctly. Now, if I remember correctly, speed ring duration is like 4 seconds. Juno, do you know off the top of your head? I'm gonna Google it really quick here.
I do know.
Okay. All right. Juno speed ring is professional coach, by the way. 3 seconds. 6 seconds. 6 seconds. So what you could do here is you can speed max. What you do is you about 4 seconds here, 5 seconds. You're gonna throw the speed ring. So you're gonna throw it around 4. Now you're like, why would I waste the speed ring? Well, because you're gonna get the speed because it's gonna expire as you guys have already, just as you guys leave, which means you're gonna get it back sooner by the time the fight starts. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes.
Just a little bit of min-maxing there. So you could already have speed ring and then go zooming out and then you're cooking.
Lucio's football lessons were very helpful.
Wait, is that a real voice line? I've never heard a voice line about somebody making a basket. Did you hear that?
The one about Lucio?
Yeah, I've never heard that before. That's crazy. I didn't know there was a voice line for making a basket for any character. Okay, well there you go. The more you know. See, this is way more of a distraction not only for you, it's ruining me. So this is terrible. So this is kind of what I talked about in terms of the angle, right? So you look at this and you're like, okay, we're stuck, right? Like this is not where I want to be. So you're thinking, all right, well then where can I go? What's the next position for me? And you're going to kind of rotate with your team here and then ultimately find out like what's the next step with how I want to position. And this is kind of where you're thinking angle, right? Where do I want to position and where do I want to play? So you got 2 choices here, right? And now this is an awkward moment where you're playing out in the open. You haven't really committed to a side. That's okay. It happens. You just need to make a decision, commit. What are the 2 choices that you have to really put out the most pressure that you possibly can?
I think I could go. Well, I could definitely swing left with the Kiriko and Sojourn.
You could. You could go along this angle here. What else could you do?
And then I could back up my Ash.
Yep, you could just go back. Go backwards, right? Go back because these guys have moved this way. So you could set up a 3-pronged approach. Now, you don't always have to set up a 3-pronged approach in Overwatch. I would like 2, at least. But 3 is a lot more doable with Juno just because you have so much mobility, right? So if you look at this and you're like, I don't want to play with my Kiriko Sojourn, but I'm Ana. Grandma can't, get on her walker and cross it fast enough, right? She's gonna she might just be kind of stuck. Like maybe she'll rotate here, but that's about it, right? You don't have that limitation. You could do wherever you want. And if we really wanted to get silly with it for a third option, you could use the roof slide here. Yeah, I'm gonna get a little silly. This ready for this? Shift up, catch the ledge here because Juno's. You can basically catch ledges if you didn't know already, and then you can go up here and you could just DPS from here.
Interesting.
Go for a torpedo. Now you'd want to tempo that on your balls dive, right? But you could set up your own DPS angle. Now, not always something you'd want to do. It's more of looking at the composition, knowing their verticality limitations and so on, right? But yeah, I guess it's just food for thought here. Like, I don't hate this. Like, you're creating some distance between yourself and Symmetra. It's not a 1v1 that she can win quickly, and so that's a 1v1 that you win, right? Slow 1v1s, you win. Like, I don't hate this. This is fine. This is what I hate. And this is maybe one of those adjustments about playing with a ball, right? You need to let him come to you or not come to you at all. Because what's the problem here? Give me 2 problems here.
I use both my cooldowns.
Right, so both the cooldowns. Right, so that's number 1. Both of your cooldowns, right? So that's a bad trade. What else is bad about this? And from a global perspective.
I lost my angle.
You lost your angle, that's it.
Okay.
Now we can break that down in terms of your sight lines are much more compressed. You don't have an off angle. You're actually more at risk because you are closer to threats now. I mean, we can go on and on, right? But like, you just lost your angle. So everything, you chose this position for a reason, right? Your instincts were correct. And then you bailed on it to help somebody else. And ironically, that somebody else rolled right where you just were.
Yeah.
Right. But I think it's important for you to avoid doing this with any tank for the most part. Right. This is why you have a blaster and not, a hammer to heal. Right. If this is a Reinhardt holding this corner, I'm not running to my Rein. I'm going to sit here and shoot and heal him. I might walk a little forward to reach him with speed ring, but that's also why speed ring has range. It's the same thing. Is so that you could do things like this without having to physically be there.
I see. Okay.
I know there's a lot of concern about speed ring range and fall off of your damage and healing, but honestly, that is a fraction of the importance of you just holding the angle. Like if you deal with a little bit of a fall off on your heal from healing here, doesn't matter. Still worth it. I like the thought to rotate high ground there. You probably could have stuck with that instinct. The tempo of the torpedoes is fine. There was something going on, so I think it's okay. Speed ring there is also okay. Rotating away from Lucio is also okay. I think your mid-fight panic adjustments have been, for the most part, pretty decent. Like, you've made the best of a really, really bad position. I think you could do even more damage here. Nice shots, by the way.
Thanks.
Mechanics have not been too shabby, all things considered. So, and it definitely matters with this character. So, yeah, I mean, all things considered, mid-fight, for the mess of a bed that you made, you slept in it, so good for you.
I think you also touched on something too that I'm realizing is that my panic situation is pretty high. It's pretty noticeable.
Yeah. Well, it can be stressful. You are very fragile.
Yeah. It's just really scrabbly. I'm not necessarily like too sure. Well, I made the panic. I made the mess happen, as you said.
Of course.
Like how to deal with it is tough for me.
So two general rules. One of which we've already talked about at length and is really, really boring. You just cover. Right? Like you prioritize getting to cover, aiming for cover, rotating towards cover. The other one is just generally moving away from threats. That's not always the case, but if you look at this composition, it's pretty much true. Everything here gets close to you, it kills you. Base Sojourn, there's some gray area there. Ashe, if let's say you were playing versus an Ashe or whatever, but just rotating away. Like you were here just a few seconds ago, and Lucio was in your face. What was your first response? You shifted away. Yeah, that's right. You have pretty good range. You have hit scan weapon. You also are very fragile. So distance is good with this character. Doesn't mean you play 55 meters away. There's reason, but I guess what my point is that if you ever do feel pressure and panic, rotating to cover, rotating to create a deeper sightline, probably got to be generally good rules to follow.
Okay.
If you stick with those rules, and then maybe if you look at your gameplay more closely and replay viewer on your own, or maybe we'll see more stuff in this VOD here, you might pick up on, like, I tend to rotate, back to my team instead of holding the angle, or I forget about health packs. Like, maybe there's some tendencies here, but I don't look at the last fight and go, oh, you had all the wrong instincts, right? You were put into a really bad situation by, yours truly. I guess not yours truly. That would be you literally yours truly. But honestly, like, I think you responded with, like, pretty halfway decent instincts. This is kind of what we want to see. Like, you can look at that and be like, what am I supposed to do about that? Nothing. Like, nothing. Even your instinct here to torpedo is pretty reasonable, because if your ball's going to die, you're going to use him, right? He's the reason this Lucio's out of position, and now that Lucio's going to die, right? So, good. I mean, honestly, here, I think I would be a little bit more proactive in shooting that Sojourn. She doesn't have rail if you looked at her. You have full HP. Shoot her in the gullet, She should be cooked. Don't really know what the gullet is, but it sounds fine. Man, I don't hate this. This is fine. I would say with speed ring, this is, again, one of those things where you're just kind of like going through the motions, right? Because you're used to speed ringing tank, right? Just don't. Just don't.
Okay.
You ready for something crazy? Speed ring here. I mean, then you use it, right? Or somebody uses. You don't know if they're going to need it or not, but like, there isn't really a clear use for speed ring here, but it's certainly not wrecking ball.
Okay.
Because it's not going to hit him. It's not going to hit him. So I'm sure there's a lot of confusion for you about, like, I don't know what to use speed ring for. It doesn't matter. Just not wrecking ball. Because you could use it. Like, you're using it right now. You just used it. Congrats. Would have liked to have thrown it here just in case anybody else here wanted to use it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. From a selfish perspective, I don't mind. Yeah, totally fine. Yeah, nice. You're the GOAT. That's
and I
okay.
get hooked.
Well, yeah, this is just you just lost track of where she was. That's all. But to be honest with you, I'm not like overly stressed about it. We'll keep going. And if you're gonna die, make a mess of it. And he did. Right? Now, if we continually see you lose track of threats over and over and over and over again, then we are gonna take a closer look at it. But for now, we're not gonna sweat it. It's one fight. We're gonna keep going. It's fine. It's fine. Speed ring that probably.
Okay.
Yeah, this is just one of those times where it's like, this person would probably benefit from speed ring. Sure. I mean, you're breaking the rules here, right? But you know what? It happens. You're mid of your ult. You're down 2. I don't care. Go for it. Because you're not going to win this fight playing a nice, honest, safe angle here, right? You're either going to kill 2 here and win the fight, or you're going to lose. Honestly, I respect it. I think it's worth pointing out as well that your ultimate is probably the only exception, major exception, when it comes to cheating angles, right? Like, in other words, because the nature of your ultimate is Marvel Rivals-esque. You know, you're gonna kind of, if you want to use it for yourself on an angle or DPS, that's optimal. But that situation may not always present itself, and just throwing it down main on your tank, yeah. I mean, it gets value, right?
Yeah.
Good stuff. Let's keep going.
I guess that's another question I have as well. It's when the ult is really strong. So when I use it, I guess you just mentioned I'm sorry, I don't quite remember exactly what you said, but when you're using it on your DPS, it's optimal. Is that slightly alluding to not using that on your tank most of the time?
Here's what it is. If you are with somebody else on an angle, it's really good. If there is nobody else on the angle with you, then using it towards your tank is fine. Like, you just would prefer your ultimate to not just be a solo ult. It's not that it's bad, it's just not optimal, right? There's some circumstances when it's okay, but it's like, if you look at like Zenyatta's Trance, okay, so that's an ultimate that's really difficult to get team value out of because it really contradicts how Zen plays. More range, deeper angles, whatever. And honestly, because it's just healing, it's not always the most useful thing in the history of the universe. A lot of times, Zen players find a lot more value being a little bit greedier and just kind of taking more aggressive angles and then trancing themselves. Just more consistent.
I see.
Juno's ult's tricky, though, because it's damage boost and healing, and it moves, right? So there's a lot more value ceiling out of what you could do with it when somebody else other than you is also using it. You get what I'm saying? Kitsune Rush is a little similar, right? Kind of like, it's just really useful for your team for a long time, right? As such, you're going to be a little bit more flexible looking. If you don't get that DPS angle with you, okay, well then, can I throw it towards my tank? Is there somebody near me? Is there a circumstance where the angle's not that good? Maybe I just run it down on my team, right? Not always appropriate, but you're more open-minded when you have your ultimate. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
That's kind of the idea. So, for example, like what you just did right there, right? You pop Q in your team, and then you're like, all right, we're down. Well, I'm just going to run it down and see what I can get. And it worked, right? It worked. You broke the rules, but it worked. I think that this is, like, for example, if you had your ultimate here, you're with your tank, you're on an angle, pop it, right? This would be totally fine. Now, is your ball going to stay in the ult forever? No, but he'll get value out of it for a few seconds. You'll definitely get value out of it. It's flexible. Be flexible with it. Whenever there's an ultimate that doesn't seem like there's a very clear way to use it, that does not mean it's more complicated. It means that it's more simple. You could use it in more ways and doesn't demand as much stress, right? If you think about an ultimate like Junker Queen ultimate, right? There's a lot of things that stop that ultimate from working. A lot of things, right? So that ult's hard. Your ult, do it in a million different circumstances. So don't sit there and calculate the probability. Just use it. Use it. Use it. Speed ring here was honestly not terrible because it did hit the ball, right? So yeah, sure, okay, I get it. Yeah, I like this decision. This is just where you stop thinking about off angles as like an alter to themselves and more about like, I just don't like that for me. You know? Like if you think about it this way, like this, there's a Rhine there. Like I'm not gonna be able to get out of the choke, right? Like screw off angles, right? This is just selfishly bad. So when you start doing things like this, yeah, this is an off angle, but you know what else? This is distance. This is range. This is a good angle for you, right? So you're not even overthinking this. This is just feels good, and you're right. This feels good. Again, I don't love it, but you know, I think it did technically hit him. So like, there's always exceptions to the rule, right? So, and to be fair to you, you did use the speed. So, I would probably greed my shift a bit longer, but in terms of like layering your speeds, if that makes sense.
Okay,
but
so like use it deeper.
Yeah, unless you need it here. Like if you were to use this and like actually take a high ground angle with it, I'd be okay with it. But yeah. I'm trying to think of the torpedoes here. Yeah, not in this guy.
yeah.
Not in this guy. Because the torpedoes there would obviously be useful.
Yeah, especially like right here.
Yeah, I mean this is okay. I like this. This is cheeky, but you got your cooldowns. Pop the torpedoes right now. Yeah. Only thing here is just keep a little bit more distance. So as you swing here, the minutia of how you rotate should be really where.
Probably up.
Yeah, you could go up. You could go back here. You could flip the script and go all the way here or all the way here. I just don't want you, like, if you look at this here, I know it's very exciting. Just don't put yourself here because that is going to get you shot. And that means, okay, now I got a double cooldown.
I completely forget that the like bathroom, those rooms over there. Are
yeah, that's okay. That's okay. Overall, I think stop speed ringing your wrecking ball, but I don't hate the idea of what you're trying to do. I want to see a little bit more. I'm trying to think back to first fight. Don't chase your tank. Right? If your tank pushes forward, you'd push on your angle, but don't walk into your tank. And then keep an eye on that proximity. I don't think there's any major errors here, though. In fact, I'd go as far to say that, like, you did okay. You did okay.
Okay.
I want you to open the angle, please, and I want you to open the angle with a lot more intelligence, with all due respect. This is insane. Where do you need to be? Small adjustment.
I think it doesn't matter left or right, but not
I agree.
when they open.
I agree. Now, remember, with Juno, you don't want to go to a contested angle generally. So if you turn here and there's a sojourn, and okay, well, y'all have fun. I can't. Like, you know how it is, right? Like, you can't really win immediately, right? So maybe you go right. All right, that's fine. I prefer left generally because it's more open space, and so for your hero, it's generally better. But if people are here, well then, okay, you re-rotate right. That's it. Yeah. But not here. Not here.
Yeah.
This is the definition of contested space. Yeah. Now, I like this from you. You see her out, you shot her out, and then you take the space where she left. This is really heads up. You could speed ring this as well. Like, you could come here, speed ring your sim. But yeah, I mean, this is fine. This torpedoes is fine. Good value. Good. Speed ring that. You notice a difference there. Like, you got a little bit closer so that you could get the speed ring. But do you notice the distance that you're managing here? This is what you didn't do with the wrecking ball earlier, right? This is really good. This is quite good. You should be very pleased about this. Now, you press the torpedoes and you press W. We've noticed that be a bit of a habit here.
Yeah.
It's not something that you're gonna get punished for often, but remember, all you need is a sightline. It has like ridiculous range. You don't need to press W. I love this so much from you, honestly. Like, you know that you have an advantage on her, so press it. You're not scared of her when you know where she is. This is really good. Hold that left angle. Or right. I think left, like I said, a little bit better vision, but yeah, sure. This is fine. Yeah, nice. Good. Yeah, you have a little bit of information. Shift first here, just because you're not actually speed ringing anybody, right?
Okay. Yeah.
But I mean, you do need to speed out, but I would shift first. I think it's
I
also...
think I just panicked and that's...
Yeah, it's alright, it happens, but it's worth pointing out. I think it's also a lower cooldown, too. A little close here again, right? So if you really wanted to be super clever with your angle here, where would you go?
They're all coming out of the tunnel there. Maybe on the top left. Should I go there?
Yeah,
Or on
yeah,
the top right?
yeah. You nailed it. You nailed it. Use that double jump. Use that double jump. That's the most underutilized cooldown, quote unquote, cooldown of her kit from most people that I see is not using her verticality. It's really good because it's not just the double jump, it's also the ledge grab, right? So you can, stuff that you wouldn't think that you can get with the double jump and shift, you can get this 100%. So if you're here, like, I mean, it is really hard for them to press you out. And you talk about cover and distance, right? Really nice. And I will agree that your strength is your quote unquote aggression. I don't see Junos that play like this in gold. And that's why they're gold. I mean, even the mechanics, right? It's clean. You're very confident in yourself and it shows. And you should be. This looks good. That was a good fight from you. Minus that the speed ring opener and the angle that you chose, how close you were specifically. It's great. And that's going to age well. That's going to age well. The execution has to be done better if we're going to get you to diamond, right? But that's going to scale. Keep it up. And not only will it scale, but if you ever do get tired of this character and want to go back to Sojourn or want to pick up another support, guess what? Same crap, right? Not exact same execution, but same concepts. There you go. Yeah, to talk about support, right? This is support. Your Symmetra's dead without you. Beautiful job. Beautiful, beautiful job. Sure, don't chase. Hold the angle now. Yeah, so again, we're talking about micro here. More micro than I was expecting. I really don't like the torpedoes on tanks. I really don't. I would never go out of my way to torpedo a tank. It's just a fraction. So here's the thing with torpedo. If you hit every shot, it in many ways is a slower DPS than just shooting your weapon. The only thing that it is it's guaranteed damage, and it's AoE. So we talk about guaranteed damage. If I take a look, let's ignore the armor just for the sake of the argument here, okay? Although that may be a small factor. I don't think you need help shooting this guy, all right? I think it's pretty fat, especially given the amount of mechanics that you've shown here. Shoot him, don't torpedo him.
Okay.
Now, if this is a tracer in the open, pop the torpedo, right? Because that's hard to shoot, right? Shoot Genji, Ash, I don't care. It's fine. It's not always a guaranteed shot, right? This, totally unnecessary. Totally unnecessary. And I guarantee you, in the next 3 seconds, we're going to have a better torpedo, oh my goodness, torpedo opportunity, likely. Let's see it. 1, 2, 3. I mean, to be fair to you, you recognize it and go, oh man, I need to be finding something other than just the Ramacha. But you see how awkward it feels. And then it turns your attention away from this Ediari who's not pushing you, and it's a big mess. So, love the angle, by the way. The angle's great. Really, really, really nicely done. And shockingly, you performed really well. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. The reason you performed better is because you felt much more comfortable with how to position on this map, and it shows.
Yeah, I think so.
Besides the first fight, and maybe getting too close on the inside right, like you just looked very flexible with how to take your angles. So what's the takeaway? Before we abandon the very first round and move into the third, what was the takeaway from the first round in terms of rotating in angles and so on? If we go back here, let's even go back visually just so you can kind of picture it here. Ignore your team. Just kind of look at the map globally.
I think definitely putting distance between myself and the enemies. I think that's a big one.
Doesn't feel like a map-specific thing, but you did get caught pushing in towards point multiple times for different reasons, right? What else?
There's a lot of open space on this map, so I think finding good points of cover, just like good anchor points for cover, is important as well.
Sure. Don't force top if you don't get the speed out quick, right? On first rollout. If this doesn't feel good, abandon ship, right? One other detail I'll give in to interject. I want you to experiment more with taking this high ground if you feel comfortable and confident doing so and playing around this high ground. Even if you have the space control, playing around here. The one time you did, you got flanked by a Sojourn. That happens. But yeah, that's kind of my general feedback here. It's the same concepts, but practicing more. How do they look like here? Now, speaking of that, this is going to be a doozy. This one is interesting. Let's put it that way. It's definitely a relic of Overwatch 1 map design. Because it's big choke. And then, you know, to mix things up, it's another choke. They're getting really creative back there, back in 2015. So we'll talk about, you know, how to do that in a second. But first off, any questions?
This one, no longer playing with ball. Now it's
Yeah.
Orisa versus Orisa.
Yep.
And it feels to me that I don't really have any like flexibility on the angles I take here. I'm pretty sure I just shoot Orisa most of the time, or like heal Orisa. That I think that's what I end up doing.
You're kind of right. There's not a lot of space. You go, can I speed ring from here? Okay, maybe I have to push forward to speed ring from there. But a lot of it comes down to hitting shots, hitting a fat torpedo here, and making sure that you get a speed ring on your Orisa. That's it.
Okay.
It's the same with really every DPS here. Like, there's not a lot of positional creativity expression here, right? You hold the angle and then you do the thing, and that's pretty much it. So my main critique here is you're doing jack all. That's my critique, right? And we've seen this at times, and we saw this in the first round, and I think it's due to just, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's just positioning unfamiliarity or what, but this is so uncharacteristic between what we saw last round. I don't need you to psychoanalyze yourself here, but I would be curious if you have any guesses.
I think here it's just I don't want to go out into the open.
Okay.
And I don't want to cross for my Orisa.
Right.
So I just don't know what to do here.
Shoot.
Okay.
If they're on Widowmaker, okay, then you might need to abandon ship and make a different plan, right? In which case, what would you do? Widowmaker scoped at your head. What do you do?
Play around cover.
Sure. Well, I mean, that doesn't help you. She's got a one shot, right? Cover is just to deny the two shot.
Okay.
Cover never denies a one shot. It's a tough question.
Play at a position where she can't see.
Oh, that's genius. So where is that? Give me a direction with the camera. Let's experiment.
Maybe.
This is not your final answer here, so don't be scared to be wrong.
Sure. I think in that case, I have to go over to where Orisa is behind that pillar thing.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Okay. See, play more main, right? Compress the sightline. Keep going. Keep cooking.
Could I go even deeper to like the direct left of Orisa?
So like out here? Yeah, sure could. Maybe this is a situation where you do something a little silly. I mean, it's Widowmaker, right? So of all the DPS to do something this would be Widowmaker, right? Do you need to do this all the time? Probably not. Is this situation going to be good? Yep.
Okay.
Any character that compresses your sightlines as Juno is a character that can be dove.
Okay.
Not saying that you're the guy that's going to kill her right away, but maybe you come here, you pop your tornadoes, right? Because that's just what we're calling them now. You throw your tornadoes out and they blow her away. And they all chase you, but you still have maybe you speed ring. Well, actually, I think you have to shift here, but you save your speed ring, so then they chase you. Okay. What about heal botting here or heal botting here, getting your speed ring, and then off of your resist push going forward here? Maybe you go, let me toy around with this here if they're on Widowmaker. Go solo mode with another DPS of mine, or maybe just by myself. My point being is that, like, I want you to experiment with these things if you feel that the honest hold the angle shoot doesn't work because of fill in the blank. Okay. They always have to sacrifice something to do something well. They're going Widow, so you can't play here. Something else is naked. Now, it just so happens that they're not in Widow. You look at their composition, and minus a couple of honest shots, which you can cover around not too badly, she can't one-shot you. They don't really have much range here. So what could you be doing with our camera right here?
I could stand on top of that and shoot.
And shoot. She's armored. I don't care. Keep shooting. Keep shooting.
Okay.
Keep shooting. Just keep shooting. Yeah, you got it. Experiment. There's always an answer. Might not be an easy answer, but there's always an answer. I don't hate that speed ring here, but I want you to use that with actually doing some damage here, especially now that you have your torpedoes. It's probably worth it to pop an AoE here. puts the pressure on this Bastion. Like, you can't out-heal a Bastion's damage is kind of the way to look at it, right? And so if you look at what you're doing right here, you're not really utilizing the range of your weapon, which isn't great, but it's okay. And you're certainly not utilizing your mobility here.
Yeah.
So I wonder here, if you don't get early poke on this Orisa, maybe you have to flank. Maybe that's the only thing you can do, right? It's too late now to do either. Because let's be honest, you didn't do either.
Right.
Like, this is uncomfortable, but that's the best value you're going to get. And then you got shot once and you bailed, right? Don't.
Yeah.
Be like, okay, I got to play a little cover, but I'm going to stay with my Ashe. Pokey, 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 double jump, torpedo, bam, 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 right? She's fine.
Mm-hmm.
She's fine. Keep these guys honest. That's your job. This is not your job. And if you're not using your mobility here. You're using your mobility to second guess your position is what you're doing instead of really accentuate your position, right? Sure. Sure. Another one of those torpedoes and tanks, just worth highlighting. But to be fair, it did hit one of your teammates too, so that's all right. Okay. Okay. Detail, but important detail here. I want you to focus more on the angle rather than this. So when you're here, your first question should be, where the frick are those DPS? Where are those supports right now? Because not only are they more important for you to shoot, but you're also opening your back to them if you don't deal them. You see this?
Yeah.
And also we're dealing about proximity on tank. This is scary, right? So just something to keep in mind. What could you do from here? I don't know. Harass, tickle, maybe at least not expose yourself to the Ana. Like, plop yourself up here and do your thing from here. Something to consider. I mean, now you definitely have to heal bot, right? Because it's super, super stressful. Oh, she's freaking dead. Wait, maybe not. Yeah, definitely. Like, I don't hate what a lot of your choices the last 20 seconds, right? You've done your best, I think, given the circumstances. But it's more of, you've been kind of dead weight for a long time. And if you talk about the strengths of this map, it's not your kit, so therefore you have to be more creative or swap.
Okay.
You know, if you want to exist, you're going to play Ana, you're going to play Zen, you're going to play Bap, whatever. You don't exist with Juno. You find an angle that those characters can't play and heal bot or damage, or you just flank. Those are your choices.
Got it. Okay.
I don't mind this. That's fine. Pop that torpedo. It's fine. You're fine. See, this is okay. This is okay because there's not a lot of supports that could play here comfortably without risk of being pushed. And then we talk about your angle here, right? Pop the torpedo here. My only concern is that you could see that rubber band stretching between you and the tank. You see what I'm saying?
Sorry,
as
what do you
in,
mean by that?
the further you stretch away from your tank, the further forward you get pulled. Eventually, you just have to snap forward, right? Now, I know what you're going to do here. You're going to press Q, and I don't hate it. But I want you to bail as quickly as you can. Pop Q, hit the torpedoes, and get out of dodge. Get off of point. I need you on an angle as quickly as you can. Because this here, you don't even needle. You whip your torpedoes out right here without peeking the soldier. I mean, this is big value in terms of damage pressure, healing pressure, and so on. So there it is, but you don't stay here. Speed ring and get off.
Okay.
Speed ring and get off. It's like all of a sudden you remember that, like, oh yeah, I have a weapon. Forgot about that. Forgive me. It's like I was literally just watching you just like click. Yeah, I get him. Nice. Hold the angle. Don't leave. Don't leave.
So, sorry. Another question about that.
Please.
Is sometimes I tunnel vision on killing the.
I knew you were going to ask that. I knew you were going to ask that. Here's what it is. Let me simplify the thought process for you. Opportunity cost. Whatever decision that you make in the moment, stick with it.
Okay.
Right here, you've committed to damage. If you pivot to heal here, you would have been unable to heal her in time. And your crosshair movement, plus the fact that she was using cover on the person you were targeting, you wouldn't have been able to save her. If you had been heal botting the Ashe and stayed with it, she would have lived. He dies. If the Ashe had been more intelligent with her cover usage, I mean, she would have lived, and this guy dies. You did the right thing.
Okay.
You did the right thing. Now, you could second guess your initial decision here, which would have been I don't need to push this guy. I can just heal my Ashe and just
Right,
let her, because this is we're in no rush. This is a comfortable 2v1. I just need to not feed. That's fine. But once you've committed, you commit. You don't second guess.
Okay.
A cosmic phenomenon.
And ultimately, that won't have massive ramifications, right? Like, she is going to get speed ring. You're going to go back to your angle. Where?
Not here.
Not here, right? Not here.
I think I could have stayed at that that left.
Oh, but you won't be able to speed ring your Orisa. Don't care.
Okay.
Don't care. Now, you could go, I could hold the angle here with my Orisa. Yeah, that's true. That's true. What makes you feel uncomfortable about this?
I think the fact that she's the only one there.
Well, it's less remember the rule. Don't think as much about the angle and who's with the angle and more about you. What do you think as Juno about this position here? Do you like it? Do you not like it?
I think it's hard for me to get away if there's something that happens there.
It's compressed, isn't it? It's compressed. It's the same thing we talked about with the very first run when it was like, oh, how many people? No, I don't like that little room. I want space. I want verticality. I want sightlines, right? Assuming I'm not playing versus Widowmaker, right? So that's why I'm hesitating to go towards Orisa here. Not because, oh, I don't want to play with my tank. Of course you can play with your tank. Tank's an angle here. If your team's back here, it's totally fine. But I don't like, if I had to choose, I'm always going to choose the angle into open space most of the time. All right, so.
Here you can see me, like, I don't know what to do here.
Well, it's hard. Symmetra Wall sucks. I freaking hate it. So, like, I get it. You do all right. The key thing is, what will you do when you get the choice? You don't really have a choice right now. The choice has been taken from you, right?
Okay.
There's nothing. Like, what are you going to do? Shoot Semwall? Like, good luck with that, right? So you're going to try to get value where you can, right? Speed ring my Orisa. When she goes in with ult, maybe I can cheat and run into the open. Yeah, I don't think that's a bad decision here. I get it. But now, what will you do now? Like, let's say the Orisa doesn't die. What do you do now? Right?
I think I have to run.
And then you see, this is where you screw up. And you screw up badly. You should be nowhere near point now. You should be here, right? Or here, right? You cannot be here. You cannot. Give him flip. I don't care. You cannot die for this. Yeah. And, like, that's what costs you, right? It's not. See, the thing is, it's never the difficult decisions that cost you games. It's the easy decisions that you completely missed.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Because you're like, I don't know what to do here. Yeah, I don't know either. It's okay. You're not stupid. There isn't a good decision. But this is where you screwed up. And it's like, does it really matter all that much? Maybe, maybe not. But those are the ones you got to watch out for. Good rollout. Love to see it. Very well done. And like even this here, like the urgency to just okay, just sit. You're good. No, right? Hold here, right? Or if you wanted to commit to the rollout, you could have rolled out here. Totally fine.
I think, yeah.
Right? And that's it. That's it. We talk about the easy decisions, right? These are the ones that are going to kill you, literally, right? These are the ones, right? Where you just that proximity, you have this pulling forward, not committing to either angle, and that's where you die. Now, in theory here, you guys are fine because they made the same mistake, right? They're plat players. They don't think, oh, do we all need to be on point? No? Okay, then let's hold. No, they're all going to run on a point like rabbits. So what's going to happen? You guys are going to have a shooting gallery, and everyone's going to freaking die. So yeah, that's pretty much it. We got time here. We could look at a couple more fights from a different code if you'd like to.
Sure, absolutely.
Got it. Any questions so far?
No, I think this is very helpful. Thank you.
All right, no problem. So we're seeing proximity as a problem, especially when torpedoes are on the line. You press forward. Your speed ring usage is okay. There could be a little bit more emphasis on not forcing it on tank if they can't reach it, being a little bit more selfish with your angle and not sweating it too hard if things get hectic. Torpedo and tank too, right? When it's only the one target. Just little details here, but also some big stuff. Okay. You could speed ring this, by the way, because you will use the rotation. You could speed ring your hog because he could use it, right? Like, why not? And then jump up top here if you want to. But you need to get off of here as quickly as you possibly can. Either top right or top left, your choice. And I think this is also where you're sitting on your utility because you're like, I don't know what to use it for. I don't know. Your hog will find something to do with it. Trust me, right? And certainly you will find something to use it for too, right? This could be your impetus to rotate. Nice. Do this a little sooner, but yeah, sure. Love it. Next step. Frankly, you could even speed ring this, right? Hit your venture with it. Why not? Hit your mercy with it. Why not? But when you talk about a composition like this, you're going to die waiting for speed ring value. You know, because you're never going to find that perfect situation in which case we're going to group up and push, or I'm going to get dove. I mean, look at their comp mate, right? I'm not seeing you getting dove anytime soon, right? So
right.
you get so like what you do is you go, okay, well then I can speed ring to rotate, or I can speed ring for my team. So the utility is free. Like right now, speed ring. That's going to cut down the amount of damage that your Zarya takes by 195, right? Just pulling a number out of thin air, but really, like she's going to be harder to hit. She's going to make this awkward rotation in the open without cover, you know, half of a second faster. Use it. Sure. It didn't quite hit the Zarya, ironically, so the one time you do use it, you miss it. But I respect it. Good torpedoes. But see, this is the problem. You're not getting any space because you're not creating any space. You didn't speed ring. You didn't take the opportunity to rotate when you given the opportunity to, so you're getting outvalued by that Ana. GG's. Or the Ana, I say the EDRE. I really want you to see you thinking about taking space more aggressively here. Now, we talk about proximity here. Still want to be very cautious about that, but I don't like this here because you don't see anything if you would want to shoot it, right? There's no, oh, I could just rotate to here. And no, like you're like 4 steps away from actually being able to do damage here. And I don't love that. You could speed ring here and you can use your ult if you want to. This is one of those moments where if you just want to use it, just use it, you know, down main, it's fine. I wouldn't mind you pressing Q now.
Okay.
So this would be more along the lines of they are pushing past their ultimates into us, like right now. So we probably should just use an ultimate to keep us safe, or even if punish them for over pushing. Because you're thinking, oh, we're going to LOS the ultimates. That's correct. That's good. That's why I don't press Q now. But if I start to see this, I might press Q. Okay. I might press Q.
Right, because he's...
Yeah, they've committed, right? They're now crossing the line. I'm getting uncomfortable. And in case in point, right? Genji gets a little split, then they 5v1 him, and so on. Yeah. Like even now, pop it. Good speed ring there. I like it. Okay, so as messy as this has been, I think what's happened is that there's been a continual struggle to find the opportunity instead of just using it, whether it's the speed ring, the ultimate, or your angle, right?
Yeah.
You know, there's been opportunities to rotate through here. There's been opportunities to take high ground. There's been opportunities to rotate to here. And you're not really taking them, right? Kind of waiting for it to be nice and cozy. It's not. But right now, feels about as cozy as it's going to get. So you better hit it right now. I want speed ring Q right now. 3, 2, 1. Bam. Only problem here is the speed ring first, and only problem is be careful about running it down main, even with your ultimate. Don't try to lead the charge. Speed ring tank and follow up. There's no rush. Okay. This torpedo is gonna hit in 5 seconds. Trust me, it's all right. That being said, it's not a bad play. It's a good play. It's not perfect. So you should feel good about that. So now it's your turn to pop 3 ults. But yeah, that's like a great example of like, yeah, sure. Go for it. If you want to pop the ult for your team, sorry. Now, I want you to think mobility here. It's hard.
Can I go up top?
You can. You can. Off of cart, you sure can. Pop.
Okay.
Pop your torpedo here. Just jiggle peek it. Like,
Yeah.
oop, 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 oop. Come on. You're going to hit me. Whoop, 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 whoop. Right. Drop down if you need to, or stay. Pocket your Genji from here. If he's not there, drop the torpedo. Maybe drop back. Speed ring. Jump up top again. Shoot a little bit. Be creative. Okay. This is not easy, right? I get it. There's not a clear, oh, I take this angle, turn my brain off like there was in Nepal Shrine and just shoot. But that's where your ability is really going to be flexed. I actually had a distinct memory, and we'll stop with this. Playing this map, actually, this exact same point, exact same attack versus a very similar composition. It was a pharmacy with a Widowmaker. And my tank, I think they're on Roadhog. My tank was just getting obliterated. Like, I could not, I don't remember what it was. I speed ring them. There's no sight lines for me. It sucked. And And this is pretty early into my Juno play, and I was thinking, you know, I can't really contest anybody in a duel. And I was like, you know what? We're going to lose this game. This is 30 seconds left. We're getting turbo stomped. They've got forals. Oh, frick, I'm just going to go flank. I'm just going to flank. You know what? Flank. And I realized something. I looked, I'm like, dang, they don't have anything to chase me at all. Like, nothing. So I speed ring up here, and I torpedo here. And I turn and I look, and the cavalry's coming. They're chasing. And I'm like, I'm shifted. I run over here, and I'm like, no, run. And then we win the fight. And then we win the game. Obviously, a lot of other factors came into play there. But I realized, kind of like that Widowmaker to Paul Sanctum example, where I was like, man, I can take any angle I want, right? Like, as long as I don't peek in open space, like, these guys can't chase me. I'm really fragile, but, man, I can really run around versus these guys. And so I became a problem solver, right? And so I think for you, a lot of it comes down to, you talked about, I don't really know what I'm doing. I just take an angle and shoot. Okay. Yeah, but what angle makes the most sense? Like the composition. What about the map? What about the verticality? You don't need to understand all these variables, but I do encourage you to think about those variables and make your choice. You get what I'm saying? So for me here, what I would encourage you to do, choose your angle depending on comp, enemy comp, and friendly comp. Treat it like a fun problem. Experiment. Don't be scared to screw up. You don't need to factor into every variable. You should not factor in every variable because that would be very overwhelming. Just try it out. See what happens. Have some fun with it. Because if you really want to like have more direction with what you're doing, that's the first direction I'd send you on, right? Number 2, keep an eye on your proximity, if that makes sense. Torpedoing especially, right?
Yeah.
Terms of speed, shift usage, careful of stacking, mostly okay in ideas. And beyond that, I think beyond that, it's just really details, right? Like, don't hesitate too much to take space with your ult. Don't overthink your ultimate. Don't solo torpedo it, solo tank.
Right. Yeah.
For the most part, right? But for the most part, I think that like these are little details that will improve the difference between the honestly almost masterclass that you put on Nepal Shrine versus things get a little bit more complicated, a little bit more compressed, or a little bit less cover. AD completely shut down. I don't want to. That was a unbelievable whiplash for me watching, right?
Right.
And I think like we even saw it here, right? Like I would not guess that the Juno that we saw on Nepal Shrine, it was the Juno that we saw on Rialto First Attack.
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of hesitation. There's a lot less creativity. There's just kind of like waiting for your team to do something and not even speed ringing to let them do anything. Just kind of waiting for me to get run over. So I want to see, it's not necessarily more aggression. It's more creativity with the problem solving.
Okay.
And I hope that if you follow cover, generally range, and from there, knock yourself out. Just you check those boxes, you're okay. Oh, and timing with team. Right? Tempo. We talked about that a little bit earlier. Okay, any questions?
No, you covered a lot, and I'm pretty excited to put some of these things into practice, or all of these things, I should say, into practice.
Sure. And again, you can't check all the boxes at once, but yeah, over time, being able to just experiment with different things. I think the biggest thing that I can tell you, like, is that there is always a good angle with Juno. You just have to be smart enough to find it.
Yeah.
The thing that makes Juno really challenging is that you have so much mobility, and it's such a weird hybrid of like speed ring is kind of like medium range, but I can go long range, but I fall off. So you're like really hybrid. So that means that if we look at like Rialto First Attack, there are like 5 or 6 different positions you can play there. So which one makes sense? Can you figure it out? Right? Usually it's not necessarily just one. Sometimes there's 2 or 3, but like being clever enough to look at the situation, look at the composition and solve that is really, really, really fun. You don't have to solve it perfectly. I mean, you've gotten a platinum with just kind of throwing your forehead at the whatever angle you can take, right? And sometimes not even then, right? But for you, that's kind of like what we're looking for.
Okay, that makes sense.
If you do have any map angles or map situations where, if you have a Nepal Sanctum, again, screenshot, send to me. Make sure to include composition, but screenshot and send to me. All right?
Okay.